showing quite different features. Like I mentioned, that could be part of a new ceramic tradition. Because of that, those particular kind of shapes have not been reported from other Harappan sites so far excavated.
Namaskar and welcome to Indian History and Archaeology with me, Dr. Lajwanti Chani. If you've seen our recent Saturday night shows, then Dr. Abhayan G.S. doesn't require an introduction to you. But if you missed the interview with him, then I'll put a link over here for you. Of course, if you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to receive all notifications of our videos, then you won't miss them. Dr. Abhayan's presentation is on first excavation, the Padta Bet site in Kutch, Gujarat, and this comes as a sequel to last week's presentation on Juna Khatia by Dr. Rajesh S.V. Now I'll hand over to Dr. Abhayan, and please do like the video.
Hello everyone. This presentation is a short one on the recent excavations at the site of Padta Bet, which is located in the western part of Kutch region, close to Lakpat region. And this is actually a continuation of Rajesh's work, like that he explained all about the burial site of Junakhatia. And this excavation is the further probing of questions related to Junakhatia and related issues. As I mentioned earlier, Padta Bet is one of the sites in the surrounding region of Junakhatia. And this excavation is, of course, a teamwork. Dr. Rajesh has been an integral part of this. And along with that, our collaborators from Spain, Dr. Francis Conesa, Ponhos, Garcia Granero, Subhash Bhandari from Kutch University, Charusmita Gadekar from Ashoka University. These people have been contributing a lot in this excavation project. When you see the location of the site, this is located towards the western end of Gujarat or western end of Kutch region. And this is a very arid region where we have this site of Junakhatia, which is spread up in a 16 hectare area with a large number of burials, as Rajesh showed in his previous presentation. 197 burials were excavated at this site. And apart from that, there are a lot of unexcavated burials still. Nearly there should be approximately 500 burials at this large early Harappan cemetery site. And what we look further is more sites surrounding this region. This is the only burial site we could locate. Apart from this burial site, we could locate some other settlement sites in the vicinity of Junakhatia. These sites are not located very far from this site. Almost all these sites are located within a 10-kilometer radius. The closest one being Lakhapar, Padta Bet, and Dwajagat. These three sites were discovered in the early years. And in this season, while we were doing excavations at Padta Bet in 2024, we could identify some other sites as well. That is Kundasiri Viri Vistar, that is close to Padta Bet. Another one is Kukkad Kund. Another one is Darshwala, that is slightly far from this locality. And these are the sites we identified recently. And altogether, we have a good number of Harappan settlement sites in association with Junakhatia. And now we need to look into the connections, the actual connections these sites are having with the site of Junakhatia, or the site or the site of a bigger cemetery site. Then among these sites, we proposed the excavations at Padta Bet. As per that, we did the excavation in February and March of this year. And this is an aerial view of the site. You can see the site is located on a small hillock-like area. This is the site, and this is the rough contour map of the site. From these contours itself, you can see the kind of location of the site. This is an exact hillock here. On the slope of this hillock, we have a slightly flat area like this, and this is the core area that we excavated. And this is the area where we have more habitation evidence excavatable. And in the lower reaches of this hillock, also we have some structures. Here you have one structure, and here we have two structures. And this is an aerial view with the actually excavated structures are integrated on top of this map. You can see this is the hillock area, and these are the structures visible towards the down part of this hill. And here we have a bigger structure. And apart from that, this area is completely vacant of anything. That means this area has been eroded a lot because of the particular shape of the landscape, especially because of the hillock-like landscape has a tendency to erode easily. And these areas have been eroded very drastically. That is why we assume that originally the settlement was further extended towards this side also, but unfortunately, because of the erosions, all the settlement evidence have been eroded. This is the assumption we have at present. And this is the view of excavated remains from the top of the hillock. And the extreme top end of the hillock is not habitated. Probably we couldn't identify any sort of habitation evidence from the extreme top portion. This is just a flat area just on top of the hillock, maybe towards one side of the hillock. And these are some of the structures from the hilltop area. This is one example. This is structure 1. This is an interesting structure. This is roughly rectangular in shape. One portion, northern portion of the structure has been eroded. That is why we don't have the continuity of the structure towards that side. But what is interesting here is we have one in situ potteries from the ground level of this structure. If you look at them closely, this is the portion where we have these two potteries located. These are in situ, something like a storage jars underneath the ground level. The ground level is visible in the form of these stone structures here. This is actually placed in a pit within a structure. That means it should have been used as a storage jar or something. We cleared these two pots, but we couldn't retrieve anything physically as such. But we will go for some flotation and other sampling methods for the identification of any other microscopic or macroscopic things from them. And what is interesting here is among these two potteries, this one on the right side is a typically late Harappan kind of pottery, which the similar kind of pottery has been reported from other Harappan sites as well, especially from the late Harappan phase. But this larger one, is quite a different kind of pottery. This should be a new pottery tradition which has not been reported from any other Harappan sites. And apart from this complete storage jar, we also came across some other potsherds from other parts of the site. They are also very much similar to this kind of fabric, and the shapes are also very different from the usual Harappan kind of potteries. That is why we assume that this site has a presence of a new ceramic type, maybe a new tradition that is yet unknown. We need to further probe into that. And another structure is called a structure 2, that is towards east of this structure 1. And this structure is also eroded from one side, but the half portion is intact. If you closely observe this is a typical example where we have all the habitation evidence from this particular structure. Importantly, from within the structure, we identified one shell. This is telescopium, that is a species name. This is a viable edible kind of shell. That means they must have been consuming these kind of shells within the structure. And apart from that, we have these kinds of pottery fragments from within the structure. And this one is a fragmented pottery. And this is actually an in situ pottery like the other one, but this is something like a crushed one, but it was actually in situ. And similarly, we have pottery scatters from outside this structure as well. That means this place have been a very active place of habitation, or a very active place of uh, people who settle at this place. These are the indications for that. And we have another interesting structure, that is structure 3, close to that. And this is roughly circular in plan. And notably, these kind of circular structures are common, especially towards late Harappan phase, especially at the late Harappan levels at Dholavira, you can still see some of these structures preserved on the site surface. And here also we have come across so many pottery fragments from within and outside the structure. Another interesting evidence is a burial from within this habitation area on top of this hill, close to these three structures I showed before. And this burial has one human skeleton as well. When you see the skeleton, this is the skeleton actually preserved. We have one crushed skull, and we have hand portion like this, humerus, radius ulna of 2 hands, and one femur, and 2 tibia fibula is also there. And apart from that, we could observe some ribs. Only this much is preserved. The rest of the things have all been decayed. If we conjecture this burial as a whole, this should be the tentative position of this burial. That means this was slightly in a flexed position, slightly slanting towards one side. And this is the position of this burial. And interestingly, this burial did not yield any kind of associated pottery, in situ pottery. But from the deposits, we could identify some of the portraits, but not in the form of an in situ kind, like we usually see in other Harappan burials. But it was an intentional burial that is evident from the construction of a burial structure on top of this burial. And this is apparently an young adult. This could be male or female, that we do not know, because we did not have a distinguishable bone preserved for the identification of sex. And this is as per the interpretations of Dr. Veena Mushraf, who studied this recently. And we have another bigger structure towards the downhill. This is a very huge structure. And what is the purpose of this structure? That is not very clear. We excavated this structure almost half. This whole structure is completely filled with bigger rubbles, and we removed the rubbles from half portion, and the half portion is left like that. And these are some of the antiquities we recovered from some of the trenches. These are some typical semi-precious stone beads, specifically carnelian. And on the right side are terracotta spindle holes. They have been reported from many trenches. That is all. These are related to the spinning of cotton or wool of that kind. And interestingly, from another locality at the same site, we did a single trench having 2 into 2 meter measurement. And here the deposit is slightly more, and this deposit belongs to early Harappan. We can say this because of the presence of typical early Harappan kind of pottery. And this kind of pottery is very much similar to the kind of pottery that we usually see from the burials of Junakatia that is very close to the site. And then that way, we can assume that this particular locality was occupied during the early Harappan phase. And the other locality one, which I showed before, was probably occupied after this early Harappan period, probably during the mature Harappan or late Harappan periods. In that way, we have a complete chronological stretch of Harappan civilization. As a concluding remarks, from these excavations, we have two localities. One belongs to mature Harappan and late Harappan phases. That is said because of the presence of kind of pottery we are familiar with. That matches well with the mature and late Harappan phases. From the locality 2, we have exactly similar kind of burial ceramics, which are early Harappan in date, stylistically. And interestingly, a few ceramics represent a new pottery tradition, which is not been previously reported from any other Harappan sites. This is an interesting evidence. And surveys in the surrounding areas reveal more sites, especially in this season's explorations reveal more number of sites having Harappan ceramics showing at the sites. That means these Harappan settlements have been spreading around the site of Gusunakatia. And we look forward to post-excavation analysis and continuing excavations in these newly identified sites, which can reveal more information about the Harappan settlement history in the particular Western Kutch region. And now a lot of things are yet to come. We are looking forward to see the results of post-excavation analysis. For that, we have collected a lot of samples, especially for archaeobotanical results and soil micromorphology results. And we are looking for some ancient DNA sampling. Dental calculus is also sampled. And obviously, currently we have sent, with the help of our collaborators, 7 C14 samples. Hopefully, we are expecting some results from these C14 dates. These are very crucial for confirming the chronological identification that we tentatively made based on the ceramic typology. And I must acknowledge a lot of institutions as listed here and a lot of people who have been contributing and advising us in different ways. And especially, we are very much thankful to the villagers of Katia and Lakhapar. And the villagers, they have been very much cooperative, and they are behind the success of our excavations always. And similarly, our students from the University of Kerala, MSU, Assumption College, Changanasheri in Kerala, Central University of Karnataka, KSKV Kutch University, all these students from these institutions have been part of this excavation. And we are very thankful to all the students for making this a fruitful season. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abhayan. Very interesting. And since this is, I think, your first season at this site at Padta Bet, we will have to wait to learn more about it, of course, in the coming seasons then, right? But
Right, exactly.
just a couple of surface questions, if I may word it that way. The erosion that you mentioned at the site, uh, would we be able to know if these are signs of flooding?
Um, no, this erosion is probably not because of flooding. The landscape is also like that. I showed you the contour map. The landscape is very slopy, and it is easy to get eroded in a normal rain or and it's physically also it can be eroded because it is on the slope. And another thing is that there is a road close to the site. That means that road is slightly in a raised platform. Obviously, for the construction of that road, some of the soil has been taken from the surrounding areas. And
All
along with
right.
some of the land must have been stripped off from the downhill area. This is another assumption we make.
That's a sad thing. I mean, that does happen at so many sites, of course, starting from Harappa itself.
Yes, of course. It is a big issue.
True.
Destruction of sites.
But
That is.
structure 3 that you mentioned, the circular structure that you showed, the stone circular wall, um, are you able to tell what its purpose would have been?
It should have been something like a small hut. Even
Okay,
today, still Gujarat region, especially this Kutch region, has bunga kind of structures. And this
correct.
structure has one end having a kind of small opening that should be something like a uh, doorway, probably. We only have one or two courses of that structure. Something was
Okay.
constructed upon that we do not know, maybe of perishable material.
Roof material, of course, would not, may not have survived also then.
Yeah, exactly. I
Going
mean,
by what we see today, the circular huts that we see today in Kutch, possibly the roof material may not survive in
yeah,
archaeological.
this should be for the habitation only, for the living purpose only. We could
Correct.
identify some shell remains, some pottery remains from within the structure as well as from outside the structure.
Mhm. Okay. So, have you had a chance to see reports of any other sites in Kutch, if they have any kind of correlation,
Uh,
cultural?
co- Correlation with the pottery.
Yes.
Yeah, for the pottery, yes, some of the shapes are very much identifiable. They belong to the typical late Harappan kind of ceramics that has been reported from other sites. But quite a good
Okay.
number of portraits are showing quite different features. Like I mentioned, that could be part of a new ceramic tradition because of that those particular kind of shapes have not been reported from other Harappan sites so far excavated.
All
That
right.
we have done some consultation with the published work and some of our teachers. We consulted with them. They also confirmed that these are the kind of new kind of a ceramics.
Mhm. That's very interesting. I think
Yeah,
that's something that
Rajesh
we need
is here. Rajesh is a ceramic expert, and he can add some comments into that
to.
if you wish.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Dr. Rajesh, would you like
I
to come?
don't actually means I don't want to tell. And there, I think I've been already told the things like that. Means okay, the ceramics means some of the ceramics are very much similar to the early Harappan ceramics, and from the locality too. From the locality one, majority of the ceramics looks like late Harappan, and some ceramics are mature Harappan too. So we have and the another kind of vessel that is a very coarse kind of pottery, and that was not reported from any other sites. So it looks like a very different kind of ceramic tradition or similar or making technique. So we need actually means we need to do more drawings and other things to say exactly about the kind of similarities and differences. Yeah.
Best wishes for the new site also then. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us for this presentation, Dr. Abhayan. And thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Rajesh, also for joining in. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today. If you've stayed on till the end, then you have, of course, enjoyed the video, I'm assuming here. Please do let us know on the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so. And click on the bell icon to receive all notifications for our videos. This comes from YouTube at no cost to you. I'll see you soon again with another video.